Good evening, Lutz, and welcome to News at 9. I'm Devere Dudley.
And I'm Natalie DeFord. Here's a look at our top stories.
Students sat down with the VP of Student Life.
Jenny Boots gives us a preview of Dear Emily.
And we sit down with Sam and Austin in Sports Talk.
Be sure to stay tuned after the show for a special presentation of Injured and Out here on the PLU campus on Channel 26 and also on live stream.
All that and more next on News at 9. As you may have noticed around campus, the school is adjusting to low enrollment and subsequent budget issues. Adrian Mayoral gives us an inside look.
This isn't the sound you would expect to hear in a bustling campus dorm. PLU has implemented budget cuts brought on in part by declining enrollment.
The residence halls are really empty, and with Hinderly, I know we have only like 100 residents, when I think we can, I don't know how many we can house, but it's way more than that.
Tingelstad Hall is also below capacity. A full 2 floors remain empty.
The only things I've really noticed are those posters about like why I live on campus with like the quotes from the students on the side and those sorts of things. But I haven't really seen any other forms of advertising for it, which I think is kind of sad.
Residence Life and Admissions are working together on initiatives to boost enrollment and on-campus living.
So the ultimate goal was expecting PLU to get to around 3,800 students, and that hasn't happened.
ASPLU executives spoke to the Board of Regents and voiced concerns over budget transparency.
We as students deserve the right to know where our money is going.
Reland Twomey and Matthew Salzano talk with Dr. Joanna Royce-Davis, VP of Student Life, about growing up and career connections.
Hi, I'm Reland, and I'm here with Dr. Joanna Royce-Davis today in the Upper UC, talking about career connections and life passions and everything in between. So, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
Doing well. So what did you want to be when you grew up?
Guess it would depend when you first asked me. When I was 5, a dentist.
Okay.
When I first started college, I thought perhaps a business owner and manager.
Okay.
And then I fell into education and realized that was my vocational calling and fit. And that has been my theme ever since.
Awesome. So where did you go to school?
I started at a smaller liberal arts all-women's college
Wow.
in Boston that didn't have the major that I was interested in, which was special education. I became really interested in the experience of learning difference and in issues of mental health and how communities supported mental health and systems. They didn't have it. So I transferred to Indiana University, partially because they had a great major, but also partially because they had student teaching options that would allow me a chance to be exposed to other communities, immersion experiences. So I lived with the Tohono O'odham tribal nation for a year and a half, and there really learned about how some of our educational systems don't serve all learners well, and that became life passion.
Very good. So if money didn't matter and was no object, what would you want to do right now?
I would be doing exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I love what I do. I have the absolute best, and I hate even calling it a job, I have the best quality life that I could imagine.
Awesome. Nice. What are your passions right now?
My passions are still around student success, figuring out how to challenge systems, how to improve systems so all learners have the opportunity to be successful. I also am really invested in experiences of community and how community is created. And I think if I had the chance for a sabbatical or something like that, I would be all over peace studies.
Nice. So did you know that Career Connections actually has something that can connect you to a Peace Studies scholar and connect you to that?
I did know that.
Yeah.
I haven't had the opportunity to take advantage of it yet, but yes, I did. They have an expansive network. I do know that.
Yeah. Would you want to like take hold of that network if you were going to go on sabbatical?
I absolutely would. I think Career Connections is a rich, untapped resource here.
President Obama has asked Congress to formally authorize the use of military force against ISIS. Lawmakers received the request Wednesday. If approved, it would authorize a 6-month U.S. military effort against the militant group. President Obama mentioned during his State of the Union address that Congress must formally authorize any military campaign against ISIS.
In international news, Pope Francis says having children is a blessing, not a burden. The pontiff told parishioners at his weekly audience Wednesday that it is wrong to look at having children as a burden. He said families wanting multiple children should not be seen as being irresponsible. He warned that not having children was a selfish choice. The Pope also urged children to honor their parents and help make the world a better place.
A new study shows just how much sugary energy drinks are affecting kids. The Yale School of Public Health did a study on obesity and unhealthy hyperactivity in 12-year-olds. The researchers say the more energy drinks the kids drank, the more the kids were hyper and could not focus. Researchers also say one of these drinks can contain more sugar than what a child should have in an entire day. Currently, about 1/3 of American school children are considered either overweight or obese.
Facebook will now be allowing its users to assign someone to take over your profile when you die. The feature permits users to choose a legacy contact. That person serves as an executor to your social network page. The legacy contact can post information on your behalf, respond to new friend requests, and update profile photos. However, legacy contacts won't be able to log into your account or change your posts. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this commercial break.
Up next is Jenny Boots with On the Agenda.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To not look the other way. It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Hello, Lutes. Welcome back to campus, class, and of course, News at 9. I am Jenny Boots, and this is On the Agenda. If you are looking for something to do for the upcoming semester, buckle up. For the next 4 months, there will be events, lectures, seminars, and performances centered around the question, and justice for all? This spring-summer spotlight series is a themed lecture series, something that PLU will occasionally do. This year, the university is bringing such names as the award-winning filmmaker Jay Nujime and author Dr. Carolyn West, and hosting events like The Tunnel of Oppression, My Language, My Choice, and Take Back the Night. If your semester isn't already filling up, be sure to add some of these events. A full calendar can be found with times and locations online at www.plu.edu. As one big student media family, I am so very excited about this. Last year, PLU and Mast TV's own Rachel Diebel and Camille Adams were nominated for a Pacific Northwest College Emmy for their production Impressions, and this year they are back and ready to win. The duo have just released their second production for PLU called Dear Emily. The show is centered around the video blogs of Emily, a young college student, as she encounters adventures and misadventures. Take a peek at the trailer.
In 2015, Sarah headed off to become a 20-year-old college first year. Here I am at Moss College of Winlock, or Moss Cow for short. I've been rushed from my home, off of a plane, into a room in the international dorm, then out into a terribly crowded mall and into my goodbyes. Laptop promised to listen to me like Papa always did, I will tell you all about this new place. I should start from the beginning. Here goes everything. Dear Emily.
Along with our shameless self-promotion for student media, I went out to Red Square today for a gathering of the granola, the trendy, the comfortable, and definitely the open-toed. My friends over at the Mooring Mast had held a Birkenstock event today, and they went to snap some photos and get the scoop on this trending footwear. I talked with junior Haley Ehlers, who owns 3 pairs and has taken her first pair of Birks everywhere since her 14th birthday, including England, Scotland, Ireland, Italy, France, Holland, and Canada. Look for the article in the edition of the Mooring Mast airing February 28th. This past Sunday was the 57th Grammy Awards. Controversy and headlines have followed this year's Grammys, with Kanye's comments about Beck, the purported racial tensions, Beyoncé's lack of award recognition, and not to mention the fashion. For this, Taryn Warden gives a fashion recap. Here is Taryn's take.
Hi, I'm Taryn, and this is Taryn's Take Grammys edition. One of the most important nights in music happens Sunday night, the 57th Annual Grammy Awards. But more important than those little gold trophies are the fashion. Some stars left us speechless in good ways, and some left us speechless in terrible ways. So here's Taryn's take on all the Grammy fashion. Our first worst dressed of the night goes to Rihanna in Jean-Baptiste Valli. Now I love pink and everything, but this is way too much. There is at least 5 pounds too much extra fabric, and she looks just like one of those little girl Barbie cakes. And that is just wrong. You're so much better than that, Rihanna. What the heck is this? Next up, we have Iggy Azalea's hair. Her dress by Armani Privé looks great. Her makeup looks great. But why would you make your hair a bird's nest for the Grammys? You cannot tell me that looks good. And after the show, after she lost all 4 of her Grammy nominations, which I'm very thankful for, she went on a Twitter rant against Papa John's, saying that after she ordered a pizza herself, they wouldn't stop texting and calling her. But why would you be doing that yourself? You're Iggy Azalea. Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. I used to love you, but this whole new thing with your album Sucker is just really not working for me. And my problem's not that she's in a suit. Anna Kendrick, she did it right on the exact same night. My problem with this goes from head to toe. The baby pink fur wrist warmer thing that she draped herself in was also completely unnecessary, and it was real fur, which is actually really disgusting. My next problem is with the actual pants. If you look at the bottom, they don't even fit. They're way too long and they're wrinkled. And my last problem with this outfit is with the shoes. Not only do the shoes add a 3rd different kind of pink, the style is just ugly. Last and least, we have Madonna. She showed up in a Givenchy corset S&M Dutch milkmaid bodysuit thing. I have no idea what was going on, but I know that it didn't work. And Madonna, you're 56 years old. It's just disgusting. The performance was okay, but you're too old for this. The grill that you had in your mouth during the show was also way too young for you. Sorry, Madonna, you lost it, and this outfit was just reductive. Now on to the best dressed at the Grammys. First, let's talk about Nicki Minaj, who showed up in a sequined black Tom Ford gown. Not only did she look classy, yet still sexy at the same time. I think she finally learned how to look good without just trying to attract attention with that colorful mush she used to wear. Remember the last time at the Grammys she showed up as a cheetah, and the other time she showed up with a priest? I think she finally learned how to do it right with this next outfit. Next up on our best dress list, we have Gwen Stefani in a black Altier Versace pantsuit. She finally learned how to leave her hooker red lipstick at home, and it made her look so beautiful. Versace can also do no wrong in my eyes, and this outfit just proved it. And the best dress at the Grammys goes to Lady Gaga. She showed up in a custom Brandon Maxwell silver beaded gown with Lorraine Schwartz jewels, and then changed outfits for her Grammy performance with Tony Bennett into another custom Brandon Maxwell black gown with some feathers and tons of rhinestones, and she just looked so beautiful. Not only did they win their 6th Grammy that night, she stunned everybody, showing up looking better than she has ever looked. Last time she walked the Grammys was in the egg, and now to this, I just can't even handle it. This is the best she has ever looked, and I love it. So there you have it, Taryn's take on the best and worst fashion of the 2015 Grammy Awards. Not trying to start fan wars here, people, just speaking the truth. To see more stories like these, go to massmedia.plu.edu and be sure to follow Taryn's Take on Twitter for 24-hour constant updates on everything pop culture.
So lots of things are happening this weekend. Be sure to check out PLU's main stage production of Charlotte's Web in the Karen Hilly Phillips Center for the Performing Arts, the Vagina Monologues in the Chris Knutson Hall, and maybe even head off campus to catch the premiere of 50 Shades of Grey. Whatever you do, have a safe and happy weekend and spread some love and kindness along the way. And now to sports with Sam and Austin after the break.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Hi, Lutz, and welcome to our first sports segment of 2015. I'm Sam Lund.
And I'm Austin Hilliker. Tonight we will update you in all things involving sports, including how J-Term turned out for the Lutz.
We're now coming to the final month of men and women's basketball. Through the month of January, the men's basketball team has had a bit of a rough patch. They currently stand at 7 in the Northwest Conference with a 5-7 overall record. Junior power forward Bryce Miller grabbed 11 rebounds and 19 points against George Fox on January 9th. On January 24th, sophomore guard Brandon Lester put up 22 points against the Whitworth Pirates. Looking ahead, if the men's basketball team takes these 2 next wins that are down in Oregon, they might be able to squeeze a spot into the playoffs, but the likeliness of that is getting a little iffy. The Lutz next game is at 8 p.m. against the Willamette Bearcats in Salem, Oregon.
The women's team has also struggled, not just in J-Term, but throughout the entire season thus far. The women's team went a mere 1-9 through the month of J-Term and has an overall record of 4-17, 1-11 in the Northwest Conference. The Lutz are currently on a 7-game losing streak, but despite the 3 losses, there were still a few standout performances this past month. Junior forward Jory Hall had 20 points against Lewis and Clark on January 10th. Sophomore forward Lacey Nicholson had 17 rebounds against Willamette, while junior guard Taylor Fleming also picked up a part of the Bearcats, where she scored 17 points on the 17th. The team looks to turn things around tomorrow as they take on the last place Willamette Bearcats at 6 p.m. in Salem, Oregon.
Our men and women's swim teams made a lot of noise this season. Both teams are sending some athletes to the Northwest Conference Championships. The men's team finished the season 5-2, finishing off with the University of Puget Sound, beating them 175-87. Junior Joseph Bowley went 4 for 4 against the Loggers, winning the 100-meter breaststroke, 200-meter breaststroke, 200-meter individual medley, and the 200-meter team medley. The women's team also just pretty much crushed competition this year, going with an undefeated 7-0 Northwest Conference record. They also cut down the Loggers on February 1st as they went on to win 176-86. Chanel Sullenberger had a standout performance as she won the 50-meter freestyle, 200-meter breaststroke, and the 400-meter team medley. The Lutz swim teams will travel down to Corvallis tomorrow, all the way through Saturday, as they look to cap off the conference champions with a few more wins and hopefully bring home some medals. If all things go as planned, the Lutes will continue to travel to the NCAA Division III Championships in Texas on March 30th.
Baseball season is here, and the Lutes are off to a great start. The team traveled to Tucson, Arizona, and came out with 3 wins before falling to Laverne College with a score of 9-5. Senior pitcher A.J. Konopowski, a preseason All-American for the Lutes, had the most impressive performance as he tied the PLU record for career saves in a season. The record was first set by Aaron Rochester, an 05 grad with 21 saves. The Lutes' next game will be against Oregon Tech in Portland, Oregon on February 14th. This is all we have for you tonight. You can find more information and news at our website, massmedia.plu.edu. Stay tuned after News at 9 for the television premiere of Injured and Out. But before the premiere, I will interview Steve McGrain, who is with us right now. Steve, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Have you ever actually experienced something like this before where you've been documented and you've been able to tell your story?
No, but it was a good experience. I was happy to help out fellow peers and help them out with their project.
So what specifically was your injury, the injury that put you over the edge to where you couldn't play your sport of football anymore?
Over my athletic career, I've had 5 concussions.
So what position did you play?
On offense, I played right guard. On defense, I played defensive end.
So looking at that right guard position where you're having to block every down, how was your kind of blocking technique looked at? Did you lead with the head? Were you more of the hands kind of blocker? What was your situation?
Well, the way that they teach you to do it is right off the line of scrimmage, use your hands, get right into their chest plate. But the way that I did it is if a guy was head up, I would essentially headbutt him, try to stun him, and then drive him off the line. Usually, if I didn't get a dent from that on my helmet, I wasn't doing it right. And about 8 Advils after the game usually helped out pretty well.
How many concussions would you say you've had?
I've had probably 5.
5. So has this affected your everyday life in a sense?
Yeah, I have to lock my car about 10 times when I get out and go inside the house. I don't remember which toothbrush is mine every once in a while. Just a lot of normal everyday activities I have no recollection of.
Do you ever find yourself forgetting things?
Oh, absolutely.
That's hard?
Yeah.
School, academics, does it treat you well?
If I have a reading due, then I usually have to do it probably 3 or 4 times a night. The exact same reading, even if it looks familiar, just to kind of refresh myself.
So you've gone through this injury. What are some advice that you can give to kids that maybe might get a concussion down the road when they play the sport of football?
Even if you get your bell rung, you still report it. If you do get a concussion, let your brain heal. Don't come back as soon as possible because it's just going to affect it even more, and it's probably going to linger longer as well.
Well, Steve, thank you for coming here at News at 9. We appreciate your time. We look forward to watching the Injured and Out documentary. It looks like something very well put together. For all of us here at News at 9, stay tuned and good night. What would you do if someone told you that you couldn't play your sport anymore?
That's rough because running is something that you've always thought you could do. It's involved in almost every single sport. So not being able to run would just be extremely hard because the one thing that's always defined me and something I've always been able to turn to.
You know, I really don't know what I would do. Sports is such a huge part of my life now. If I'm not like practicing with the team on or off season, we're also going to the gym together. And it's just a huge part of my life now. A part of my life I don't really know what I would put in its place.
That's difficult because golf's kind of how I've defined myself I'm a golfer, so I don't know what I'd do.
I don't know what I would do. I'd probably be insecure because I wouldn't actually know who I was or what I should be focusing on with myself anymore.
All right, a little background story is I came to Pacific Lutheran from the military. I got out of the military here at Fort Lewis, and my whole dream was to play college football. So once I couldn't go right out of high school, I went to the Army to get money to come to school. Okay. I tore my right one first on my deployment. All right, in Kuwait, the United States has been over there military-wise for a few years, so it's upscaled in some parts. They had a turf field. I explained that turf field just like a carpet, that's all it was. It was like super thin, but if you had cleats, like if you actually bought cleats out there or had your cleats shipped to you, you can use them on the field. That's like traction times 10. And me, I'm from South Georgia. I'd never seen a turf field until I got to the Pacific Northwest, you know what I mean? But once I out there, dude had an extra pair of cleats to let me use them. We were just playing flag football, and this was a non-contact injury. I just remember, you know, a little handoff to the running back. I caught him he didn't know which way I wanted to go. As soon as he chose, I remember planting my foot, and when I pushed off, he was diving, reaching for my flag. And like everybody went, oh, followed by I can't even explain that scream.
Talk about your second injury, the second injury you had.
That one, I say that was a motivator. It was because it was my first, like really training with PLU. I got accepted by the family immediately. Just everybody was like, oh man, military, thank you for your service. Come on out. Hey man, you want to play football? Oh, you from Georgia? Come on, you know what I mean? I felt like maybe because I went so long on the right leg hurt, that my left leg compensated for a lot, because the second injury, it ended up being non-contact when I tore it, but I think it was a 2-stage injury. Like, I remember catching a screen pass, and I don't remember who it was, but just made a clean tackle. He went in low, like he didn't want me to drop the shoulder. So he just caught his shoulder pad on my knee pad. Like, it wasn't a dirty hit or nothing, but you ever had like somebody take their knuckle and hit you right in your arm, like that little Charlie horse? That's the feeling I had. Like, didn't feel weak, torn, or nothing. You know, I just kind of shook it off for a second. You know, jogged on the sideline a little bit. I was cool. Then my number got called again. I got the handoff. I seen my down block come in front of me. I plant this leg to try to just follow him up into the hole. And like, when I pushed, the same old, it just rolled over. And I just remember saying, I'm at PLU, do not swear. And I just started screaming. And like, every time it happens, you just try to breathe. Cause it feel like, you know, you fall on the ball or something, you have no air, and you're trying to get it in. It's like so much intense pain. I don't know what happens. You just lose breath. And it's just.
All right, so I remember exactly. So we were double overtime. We were not doing so good against Willamette. We were doing pretty good in season, so we just had to beat them. They were last place. So it was double overtime. I played a lot that weekend, and I remember coach saying, Court, are your legs all right? But my legs were extremely fatigued, but I'm not gonna say, no, they're not good. So I went in there, and the ball was an outside back. I'm past the 50, and my outside back did a long ball. Pretty much what happened, the ball got kicked long. It bounced between me and 2 players. But one girl and I were both going towards it. We're diagonal with each other. And as the ball was bouncing, I was going with my foot, and she was going with her knee. And if you go straight on knee to knee, less damage. But her front of her knee like slammed into the right side of my knee. And I remember hearing a pop when I went down, and I was just like, something was wrong. I knew it wasn't an ACL because it wasn't multiple pops. And then I was just laying there, and I usually don't cry when I get hit, but that few things happened when I got hit, and then coach came over and I walked off. I messed on my right knee. I got hit pretty hard, and I messed up the articular cartilage in my knee, in the lateral femoral condyle, and I also tore part of my lateral meniscus. So long story short, the articular cartilage is what protects from bone on bone, and when you lose that, you would get the bone on bone, which hurts pretty bad. So what they had to do is that they had to go in there and do a surgery. You can't really see it on an MRI, so you mainly have to go in and do it. And they shaved down my meniscus, which was easy. We were just hoping that's all it was. But then the damage from where I got hit popped out part of the articular cartilage. They do what you call a microfracture, where they actually cause more damage. They put drill holes into the bone where the cartilage is no longer there. It causes scar tissue that turns into fiber cartilage, and hopefully it will develop strength to be sort of like normal cartilage, so I don't get that bone on bone. My knee is just not the same anymore. But like what I try to do is try to remind myself of things I can do and what things I couldn't do a month ago that I can do now. But if you would have asked me these questions 6 months ago, I would have been very angry. My mentality has changed drastically. But like I said, when I go in the weight room, I'm reminded of what I can't do. And it makes me, and I see all the athletes, and I want to play so bad. But I have to also be realistic again, that I can't push it too far, so I don't have permanent damage, so I can do what I want to do later on in life.
I put on a smile when I walk across the chalk, but some days, bro, like, football was just my sanity. Like, anything aggression-wise that I needed to get out, I can get it out at practice, you know? And then I can go home and just hold and laugh and just play with my kids, you know? But some days it wasn't like that. Some days I came in and it was pretty tough. And then same thing, a two-stage injury where I take a shot, then work it off, go back and play again, and re-tear it. So once I actually got the third injury, it was just like somebody just dropped a boulder on me. It hurt, it did, because like as soon as it rolled over, I ain't even scream. I just remember I rolled over and I grabbed my helmet and I said, I will not get toted off this field. Then I looked up. By the time I looked up, Scott was in front of me. He said, "Are you all right, son?" I just shook my head. He said, "It's the same old feeling?" I said, "Yeah." And he went to reach for me. I said, "Scott, I'm walking off this field." And he said, "Are you sure?" I stood up and I looked at him and I took my helmet off. Bro, I ain't never seen a man look at me with pride like that before. He knew I was hurt. Everybody that seen that knew I was hurt. And every ounce of him wanted to help me off that field. But he knew, I am not getting toted off this field. I gave my heart, my soul, my blood, and my ligaments for this sport. And I still love it to this day. But I was not getting toted off that field. I turned around, I told Aaron to leave me alone and his assistant, and they let me limp off that field by myself. And that, to me, made me feel better.
I remember I was on deck and I saw the pitcher. He was a type of guy that kind of like to keep the ball away from the batters. So I thought I'd give myself an advantage and, scoot up closer, take away the outside part of the plate. That's what pitchers like to do. It's all strategy. So position myself, fairly enough, close enough to the plate where I could reach the outside pitch. And next thing you know, I see one pitch away. I'm like, all right, I feel like pretty good about this at bat. Then very next pitch, I kind of stride into, just anticipating where I feel like he's going to be. Ball inside, too late to react. And, once you're laying on the ground after that, you're kind of in shock. And I really couldn't believe what happened. The whole face, the adrenaline was kind of took over everything. And coaches were out there just as soon as possible. The umpire had me, but it was pretty nuts. It's something that we're cautioned about a lot, especially in the box, but usually a fastball that, penetrates through the helmet and actually gets to your face, and in my situation, hit me square, bare in the face. That's something that's kind of like a nightmare. I remember I first started to feel the pain actually when I saw the damage to my face. Before that, it was just understanding what had just happened, heart racing. I was rolling around the dirt a long time, but my coach ran out to me. And the umpire was calming me down on the ground. Coach, wondering if I'm okay, asked me a bunch of questions, and I really only had one real question for him: are all my teeth in my mouth? Because, what do you expect when you just get hit in the face like that? But luckily, they're all still there. Caught me right here, right in this cheekbone, and just from that initial contact point, there was a lot more added on to that. Fractured eye socket. Nerve damage, completely shattered cheekbone right here. Yeah, it was not fun, to say the least. They got me out off the field pretty quick and off to the hospital. And the whole time I had ice over my face, a towel over my face. And then I was just in the car. And then I just happened to catch a glimpse of just the kind of side view mirror of what I was kind of dealing with. And my face was out to here, and my eye was already, I knew my eye was gone, but I didn't realize my eye was shut and then completely the size of a baseball. And completely day and night, and that's when I really kind of feel and the mind started racing. I guess your mind can kind of tell you when the things aren't the way they're supposed to be, and that's when I really started to feel pressured and feel just really nervous about the whole situation. But when I got to the hospital, I got some great news. It was pretty unreal. I was sitting there waiting for the doctor, ice over my face.
comes walking in. His first words to me actually are, "Hey, you're lucky." And I'm wondering, like, well, I'm lucky. I just got hit in the face by like a college fastball. Like, what type of luck is that? He said, due to the fact that hitting you square in the cheekbone, an inch or two higher or an inch or two lower, you lose your teeth. An inch or two higher, you lose your left eye. And it kind of seemed like a weight lifted off my shoulders, but there were so many questions. Do I have a concussion? Like, what's going on? My nose is still flat to this side. Yeah. They actually had to break my nose up and back into place.
It was a play off to the left side. It was a running play. I had to go up and get the linebacker ahead of me. I remember getting off the line of scrimmage, going up, trying to make a block, and then that's it. Didn't come back to until probably practice was over. And then by that point, that's about an hour and 45 minutes of blackout. The next day, I went to class, vomited, couldn't remember anything, the light hurt. Before practice, when I went to go suit up, threw up a couple more times, and then I went and saw the training staff. And that's when they ran me through a bunch of tests and kind of asked me what I did, how the day was, and I couldn't remember probably the last 20 minutes previously.
So we were going 7-on-7, and I was at slot wide receiver, and I ran a corner route, and the ball kind of got lobbed up, and I was going for it probably 3/4 speed. It wasn't a full speed drill, and the corner was in drop 3, so which means he is, as soon as the ball snapped, he bails, and he's deep, and so the ball's in the air, and he's coming down this way, and I'm going in a corner, and we kind of, as soon as I put my hands up, we hit simultaneously, and his helmet, the crown of his helmet hit my temple, and immediately I was knocked out from the contact, and I don't know how long I was out. I think I was out just for about 15 or 20 seconds, which isn't, huge, but when I got up, I just knew something was wrong immediately. I just had a really, really bad headache. I was confused. I got up and I was cursing, and I'm not a person that curses much. I was just fired up and I was yelling. I didn't really know what I was yelling. And the trainer took me to his office and kind of took me through all the concussion testing, and he realized right away that I had a pretty severe concussion at that point. So I did a project on this in one of my communications class, and an interesting thing I found out about concussions is the concussion actually doesn't happen on the initial hit. So what happens is your brain sits obviously inside of your head, but when you have that initial contact, your brain moves one way and then it repercussions and hits the other way. And that's actually what gives you the concussion, is your brain hitting against the wall of your skull.
In regards to symptoms, memory loss, a lot of vomiting, can't look in right now, the light would be very irritating. Can't put in headphones, can't put in, it's just, you don't really want to talk to anybody, or you get mad really easily just because you just kind of want to be left alone and you're kind of in a dark place.
Yeah, so my family lives in Eugene, and so I don't know, the trip's about 4 or 5 hours up, and I wasn't in real good contact with them. I told them, hey guys, I won't be playing the Willamette game, so don't come. Got a concussion. I didn't really go into too much more detail besides the fact that I was just really tired and I was having a tough time going to class, and they just put their trust in the trainer and said, you're going to be fine, you'll heal up. And they never were too worried until I told them that I was getting seizures, and I kind of kept that from them for a real long time. I didn't really worry too much, which is weird. I think it's just because I started getting them so frequently, I started to think it was kind of normal. But once I told them, hey, I think I have a problem, they're like, we'll get you into the best neurologist around, and we'll figure out what's wrong with you.
What was kind of your initial reaction, the first emotion that came over you when he said, you have to stop playing?
Yeah, I'm the kind of guy that I hate to quit things, and I hate to stop things. Like, once I'm doing it, I'm all in, I'm 100%. And so when he told me that, I was like, I kind of laughed at him. I was like, whatever, I'll just go to another guy and it'll be fine, I'll be okay. I've been okay in the past, and it's not gonna change. So At first, when he told me that, it was hard to accept. I was just like, whatever, man. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. But just after talking with my family and people that cared about me and loved me, it was just like, yeah, there's bigger things in life than being a football player. But it definitely wasn't an easy pill to swallow at first.
The first one happened in 8th grade, happened while playing basketball. Another one happened freshman year, the next year in high school. My third one happened sophomore year playing basketball in high school. And then I had one junior year in football, and then the last one was freshman year here. All the brain trauma that I had kind of, like you said, added up to one massive one with the 5th one. I also think that throughout the years, I've had ones that weren't necessarily documented and just kind of getting your bell rung. And so, yeah, it all kind of progressed into this one really, really bad one.
I couldn't go to class. Like I said, I just kind of was, I was in a daze. So during that period of that concussion, so it was probably about a month, yeah, my grades really suffered. I remember in particular getting like a D or something on a math test, and I knew, I was like, this isn't who I am. This is my concussion.
My grades did suffer just from that semester, and I got on academic probation, and then got kicked out of PLU for a year and a half, and then had to come back. I mean, this is last semester, is my first semester back, and I was started on academic probation, and then so it's one of those things where you kind of wish that you had done it, but it's in the past. You just got to learn from it. If something severe as that happens again, kind of use all your resources that are granted to you to the best of your abilities. I mean, my roommates know when I get out of the car, I have to lock it about 10 times. Just so I remember, I don't remember sometimes which toothbrush is mine, where I put things, just kind of everyday activities are pretty difficult just because I don't remember much, and it just kind of, if I'm not really, really focused on it, then it's as if it never even happened. I mean, it's frustrating, but at this point, it's part of the normal activities, and you just kind of keep on and roll. I mean, you can't do anything about it. So you can either dwell on it, or you can just kind of act normal and just act as though it's completely fine.
What does this mean to you? Being a former athlete, being a ex-athlete. If I said Steve McGrain, the former football player, does that irritate you in a sense?
It means that I've had my time. I put in the work. I worked hard at whatever craft it was, whether it was whichever position I played throughout those 13 years, or even in basketball. It did kind of hurt a nerve, I'm not going to lie. It did kind of irritate me a little bit. But I knew eventually that the game was going to be taken away from me, either by injury or by 4 years of playing in college. That was just when the time happened. So looking back, I mean, yeah, I put in the hard work, and I respect what I did. And no regrets. Former, I like to think it was a retired a little bit more. But yeah, that did kind of irritate me a little bit, but it is what it is.
What happens when somebody says that?
I mean, it would have been fun to play all 4 years. I don't get angry about, he used to be a football player. I mean, it never defined me in the first place. But yeah, it just makes you miss it a little bit. Like, I kind of wish I was still part of the team, still getting to play in those games on Saturday and suit up. That was all something really fun. So,
actually, I want to, let people know that this does happen, but to kids that, have this, or baseball players that have this as a question in their mind, maybe a risk in the game. It is a risk, but I believe that the fact that it took this long to actually happen to me, and me playing baseball my entire life, if you're properly coached and you know the proper ins and outs of the game, it's just a freak accident. Like, it'll happen to you once. And, once is maybe only one time you need in this type of injury. But I've been playing the game my whole life, and had plenty of bats before and after this happened. And, it's something that I was able to move on from, and something that I feel like I wasn't ever in danger of having happen to me again.
just the other day in my class, the professor wanted us to introduce ourselves to the person next to us. And they're like, say your name, what your interests are, and what your major is. And I was like, oh my gosh. Because I would say soccer, right? But I'm like, it made me really think. I'm like having a midlife crisis. Because I don't know what my interests are anymore. Not because I know I like to go hike, but I can't right now. I'm very outdoorsy, like that's what I like to do. So I'm still figuring that out. I don't know what I know what I can do, but I'm still in the process of getting to what I can do. But I'm still trying to figure it out. I work out all the time, but that's just, I think, a big motivator to get me where I was, or try to get me close to that. But I don't know. That's the problem with something like this, because you would never think.
Every sprint that I needed to run, every weight that I needed to lift, every drill that I needed to do, I did it. The only thing that stopped me from playing sports was my ligaments wouldn't hold my body weight. Literally. It wasn't because some linebacker is dirty shotting me and taking my legs out. It's literally, I cannot plant and cut anymore like I was when I was younger. And it hurt. It really did. But I was able to walk away and feel better about myself is because I won't be that athlete that say, what if? What if I did that last sprint? What if I did that last set? I'm not the athlete. I did that last set. I did that last sprint. I just couldn't play no more. The man in the arena, you will know by the type of character he will show. When his face is marked with blood and sweat, he continues to battle with an eagle mindset. Some men fold when they struggle with their pride and lose their way and drop off to the side. Others grow strong, overcoming their flaws, enjoying the challenge, not the applause. What is it? The thrill of the battle, that is the key, which brings out my best that only God sees. The man in the arena, that's the spot. So go for it now. Give it your best shot.